today we're taking a look at a very, very interesting topic. It's a pressing issue, if you ask me, because it's becoming a menace in the society, and that has to do with substance abuse among the youths. The growing rate of substance abuse among the youths. Whether you like it or not, this is becoming a major problem because there seems to be a growing number of young people and the tendency for them to want to abuse drugs. And not just drugs, all forms of substances, So we're going to be looking at it from a broad spectrum, all right? So together with some amazing people in the house, we're going to be doing justice to this topic. Like you already know, I'm not alone. I've got some amazing people with me. And to my left is someone who is an expert in this field. He is a clinical psychologist, and he is really passionate about anything that has to do with mental health. He goes by the name of Chris Aigbe-Jones. Good to have you in the house, sir.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here today.
Right. How's your day been?
It's praise God.
All right. And of course, seated next to him, and of course in between, is someone who is also very passionate about the young people. He's a clergy, and of course, he is a mentor to lots of youths. He goes by the name of Omije Oshoria.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
It's
nice to be here again. Thank you.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's set the ball rolling. We have a very serious issue before us, and that's something that has to do with what's it called? Substance abuse. Substance abuse is serious. It's a serious issue, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes we tend to want to downplay it, right? Now, I would like for us to just start by defining what substance abuse is. And then, of course, we shall be taking a break, to take a look at a short documentary that we have, after which we shall be coming back to the discussion. So let me start with you, Chris. How would you define substance abuse?
I think there are a lot of definitions as regards substance abuse. There's substance use. People use substance generally for social reasons and things like that. But it becomes an abuse when an individual actually, use substance in a dangerous and harmful way. Okay. So by way of definition, you want to say that substance abuse is a compulsive pattern of harmful use or even dangerous use of psychoactive substance.
Okay.
So when you are using it in a way that is harmful, it's no longer for pleasure or social reason, I think it has got to an
Okay, you just made mention of the use of substance for pleasure.
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to use substance for pleasure, for instance?
I think by pleasure, I mean like in social settings.
Okay.
A lot of people, when we say substance, we're not just talking of the hard drugs.
Okay.
Drug. Alcohol could be regarded as a substance.
Okay.
Nicotine could be regarded as a substance. These are used in social gathering where people come together and really want to relax.
Okay.
But it becomes an abuse when it's used dangerously and in a pattern that is harmful to the individual and society.
Okay. Now, Oshoria, you just heard him define substance abuse. Do you have a different definition, or you would like to toe that same line?
First of all, we must understand what substance is before talking about abuse. Substance are anything that we take into our body, whether in the form of a liquid or in the form of a solid. That is substance. That is, we've established that fact.
Okay.
Then substance abuse talks about when you take in this substance I just mentioned in an inappropriate manner, vis-a-vis trying to create an excitement, trying to create a euphoria, trying to boost one's behavior or boost one's reaction. So all of these, I think it's really a menace, and society has really been bedeviled by this virus. I call it a societal virus because it has really taken a huge effect on the youth and those people that decide to consume it. So I know that we have a lot of things to really talk about today.
Absolutely.
And I pray that God gives us grace.
Yeah, I pray so too, because this is, like I said, it's a menace. It's becoming a major cause for worry, because if you take a look at statistics and recent data, you will see that lots of young people are given to, substance abuse. And a lot of them are already more or less walking corpses. I don't know if it's right to use that, but hey, it's sad. It's really unfortunate that the leaders of tomorrow are now a problem to themselves and also to the society. But basically, that's why we're here, to look at these issues and see how we can, profess solutions to them. Now, we shall be going on a break just to take a look at this documentary that, speaks more to the issue of substance abuse and, its effect on the young people. Please stay tuned.
As of 2021, more than 36 million people worldwide were estimated to be experiencing substance abuse disorder. This condition spans a spectrum of patterned drug use that causes issues in a person's life. At the more severe end of the spectrum is substance addiction. To understand why some people are more susceptible to addiction and why it can be so difficult to treat, let's take a look at how addictive drugs affect the body. When someone repeatedly uses an addictive substance, their brain may adjust to account for its regular presence. This is called tolerance. It diminishes the drug's effect and means more is required to produce the same experience. Alcohol, for instance, increases the transmission of chemical messengers like endorphin and GABA, which promote sensations of pleasure and calmness. When someone uses alcohol frequently, their brain will adapt to its presence. So when they don't use it, their brain receives fewer signals from those pleasure and calm-inducing neurotransmitters, which impacts their energy and mood. In addition to the unique effects each addictive substance has, all of them alter the release of dopamine in a brain region called the nucleus accumbens. This area is part of the brain's reward pathway, which is sensitive to experiences that give us pleasure and drives us to repeatedly seek them out. The reward pathway is essential to our well-being, but addictive substances also exploit it. When someone is repeatedly using a substance and their body has adapted to its presence, they may develop dependence, where the drug is necessary for them to function comfortably. Meanwhile, repeated use can decrease the influence of the brain's cortex, which is responsible for driving deliberate decision-making and limiting impulsive behaviors. And it can increase the influence of the brain's subcortex, which is crucial in habit learning and impulsivity. Together, these changes can make someone feel a lack of control over how they're using a substance. This can mean suffering in other facets of their life and taking risks to continue using it. If the substance leaves their system, their body's equilibrium is disrupted, so they may experience cravings that motivate thoughts and behaviors of seeking and using the drug. And if they continue without the substance, they may experience withdrawal. Opioids, for example, relieve pain and induce sedation. Withdrawal from them causes heightened pain, anxiety, and insomnia. The faster a drug reaches the brain and stimulates the reward pathway, the more addictive it is. For example, heroin and morphine have similar effects, but heroin's chemical structure enhances its ability to penetrate the blood-brain barrier and bind to specific receptors. This makes it faster acting and more addictive than morphine. Meanwhile, compared to nicotine patches and gum, regular and electronic cigarettes are more addictive because smoking and vaping deliver nicotine to the brain fastest. Depending on their chemical structure and mode of delivery, drugs vary in how addictive they are. But people also vary in how susceptible they are to substance use disorder. Scientists think this is due to a mix of life experiences and genetically inherited traits, though neither predetermines addiction. Trauma and mental health conditions appear to make people more susceptible, and overall, using addictive substances before 18 is considered a strong risk factor. This is in part because the reward pathways of younger brains are especially sensitive. Many of the genetic factors at play remain unknown, but some genes do seem to track with certain substance use disorders. For example, specific genes increase the risk for nicotine addiction by making certain receptors more sensitive to nicotine and withdrawal from it more difficult. At the same time, some genes actually make people more resistant to substance use disorders, such as genes that slow the breakdown of alcohol, leading to unpleasant side effects that make people less interested in drinking. In fact, one drug that treats alcohol use disorder operates with this very mechanism. Detoxing from a substance the body has become dependent on can be extremely difficult, and in some cases, abruptly quitting can also be physically risky, so it isn't always advised. Beyond detoxing, quitting is often a long-term process. It's aided by treatment plans that prioritize addressing underlying conditions, developing new associations with experiences previously linked with drug use, and creating safe, supportive environments. Ultimately, both addiction and recovery are the results of a brain with an incredible ability to adapt from experience. If you're interested in accessing resources for yourself or others, you can find free substance groups internationally.
Well, that's a whole lot, if you ask me, because you'll agree with me that that video actually exposes a whole lot about substance and substance abuse. Now, whether you like it or not, it has become a norm in our society, or should I say it's fast becoming a norm. And that actually calls for the need to nip it in the bud before it becomes a major problem that, would have us all running helter-skelter. Now, this actually, the video I just watched, or the video we just watched, brings a lot of questions to mind. And one of such questions is, why would someone want to abuse drugs or abuse substances? What are the factors that could be responsible for substance abuse? And gentlemen, let's look at it from this angle now. What are the reasons you think some persons, especially young people, indulge in substance abuse? What factors are responsible?
Young people are generally curious.
Okay.
It's a stage of life where you are not, in most cases, up there as an adult, and you're no longer a child. So it's a volatile stage of life.
So it's in between adulthood and childhood.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's a very, very volatile stage of individual development. And at this stage, they are curious. They want to create an identity.
They want to explore.
Yes, they want to, create an identity with peers. They want to flow with peers. They want to flow with society, what's happening along their age grade. And substance play a lot of things at this time of their age. And the peer pressure also plays a great role at this stage. So the influence of societal pressure, peer pressure, especially at this age, is one of the causes of substance use among users at this age, young people, if you want to say.
Okay, you are an expert in this field, right? And I'm sure you are quite familiar with some of these substances. So if you were asked to name them, just for the sake of education and enlightenment, I'm sure there are so many people out there who would want to know the most commonly abused substances in the society, especially in modern times. So what would you...
In modern times and in regards to young people, you want to say cannabis is the most abused substance. The most commonly abused substance in our society now is cannabis.
Okay.
Alcohol we won't regard that because it's used at social settings and things like that. But cannabis is the most abused substance, along line with nicotine, which is cigarettes, which people also feel as acceptable. But cannabis, I'll give it to cannabis. Cannabis is becoming...
Okay, just go ahead and make mention of the other ones. I'm sure there are some others like Colorado, and then there's Loud and the rest of them.
Colorado, Loud, and SK, and all the other names, street names given to, they're all derivatives of cannabis. They are synthetic cannabis. So cannabis tends to cover all. But with street name, they have so many names. In fact, some names just exist within a period of time, within a set of
And then there's one they call Murumiri. It's
Igbo.
Yes, I know that's the Igbo terminology for it, but is there an English name for it, a popular English name for it?
I think the popular street name for that would be something like Colos, right?
Colos,
yeah.
Colorado.
But I think clinically that should be something like amphetamine and related drugs.
Okay, now, like I said earlier, it's a major problem because a lot of people are now depending on these things to escape the realities of life, right? Young people of nowadays just want to, like you said, want to explore. Some of them are given to peer pressure, right? Now, what is the role of parents in this? Oshoria, I would like you to respond to this. What do you think is the role of parents and, of course, adults, guardians, people who are supposed to be watching over these kids and looking out for them? What do you think they ought to do? What role do you think they ought to play?
All right, before I answer their question, I think substance abuse should be regarded as a pandemic by WHO because of the rate at which it has destroyed majority of our youth. It's something that WHO
it's an emergency that
needs prompt attention. Then back to your question, I think parents many of them has actually failed because as a parent, As a guardian, you are supposed to be the first agent of socialization. You're supposed to be the first agent of change.
Okay.
For your child. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So parents have rules. Number one, you should know who your child is. Know your child. I mean,
think that's a major problem, because
yes,
a lot of parents don't
do not
don't seem to have a
know
relationship with
the children that they've given birth to. They don't know. They are waiting. They've pushed everything to the school, for the school to even come and report to them vis-a-vis the character of children that they gave birth to. So I think parents have a role to play. They should monitor their children. They should know their excesses. They should know who their friends are. They should know what they do as spare time. They should know what they do in school. That is for the parents.
Okay.
Then number two, I think parents should also monitor the kind of friends. Because if you look, one of the factors that leads to substance abuse is peer pressure. It's a major factor.
Okay.
I remember those when I was growing up, my parents, they know all my friends. They know the ones I keep company with at school. They know the ones I keep company at home. So anytime they notice a change or a modification in character, they'll tell you, that friend is the one that is spoiling you. Let me use the word spoil, okay, as in influencing you negatively. So you notice that they will influence us to cut off from that friend. You understand? So parents also have a role. Then number three, I'm going to end here, is, we are in the era of information technology, infotech, where a whole lot of things, a whole lot of realities can be found on the media space.
Okay.
So parents should also censor what their children watch. One thing about the eyes is that whatever thing you see with of course, the eyes function as a camera. Yeah. Whatever thing you see with your eyes stores in your subconscious, and that can form basis of your character. So if you expose a child to watching movies or to watching features on TV, where cigarettes, Indian hemp, alcohol, hard drugs are being gulped, are being taken into the system unabated, I think that will form a crux of the child's behavior. And parents should censor their children from watching these programs that can be inimical to their formative stage, to their mental construct, and their behavioral pattern. I think it will help.
You've said a whole lot about the roles and what's expected of parents as regards, raising kids and ensuring that.
It's not only parents.
Yeah, I know. Of course, we're going to look at it from other perspectives, because just like I did say, there are other adults, in the children's lives who can play a huge role in influencing them positively. But we're just starting with parents, because I believe the primary responsibility lies with the parents. Yes. Right? Parenting is beyond just having children.
It's more than that.
Right? And that's one thing I believe most parents of this generation don't seem to understand. Now, there's also a huge emphasis in recent time on raising kids with love among this generation of parents. Some of them will tell you, oh, don't flog my children. You said something in the course of your analysis a moment ago when you said that some of these kids are even more like they are more abreast, or they are more in touch with their teachers than their parents. Yes. Some of their teachers even know them much more than their parents. Yes, that in itself is a problem.
It is,
because it shows that they've created a stronger bond with their teachers than with their parents. But here's the irony. Some of these teachers are not even allowed to discipline these kids, because the parents will tell them, oh, I raise my children with love. My children are not, I don't allow anybody to rough handle my children. And one of the things that I believe the African system is used to, or is known for rather, is discipline. I think the Holy Book says that if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Of course. But that seems to be, getting eroded in recent time, because you have lots of parents nowadays who don't even, who see corporal punishment, for instance, as, you being too hard. What do you have to say about that?
Because of the drifting of value system, we are in the era of technology. I don't want to go there. I think it's a big problem. It all tells you that societal values are gradually winding up. Okay. Let me use that word. We no longer have respect for value system, no longer have respect for dignity, no more respect for, there's a word I'm looking for regard for
Societal values.
societal values for systems. I know I'm saying, but I'm emphasizing more on systems.
Okay.
You know, so if you notice now, there's a drifting. I am a teacher, all right, and I know the insult and the embarrassment I get from parents. You know, I remember there was a school I taught. Sorry for taking you down memory lane.
Go ahead.
During PTA meeting, that is when parents wait for the most wicked teacher.
Okay.
The ones that discipline their children to release their vexations and all of that on that part. But one thing they fail to understand is that anybody that beats your child, I say this with all emphasis, with all atom of emphasis, any teacher that beats your child, first of all, the intention of that teacher is to correct a demon in that child.
Okay.
Because why do you hold Cain? I don't tell people, I say, try to understand the psychology of Cain. It's all called psychology of Cain in education. Okay. I am a master's degree holder in education.
Okay.
So I know what I'm saying. The psychology of Cain means that the child is no longer behaving like a human being. He's not behaving like an animal. So you use Cain to remove the animal in that child and let the child start thinking like a normal human being. So when a teacher raises up Cain, it does not mean that the teacher hates the child.
Okay.
He or she is only passing a message that, see, if you misbehave, if you drift away from the normal, I will correct you with the Cain. And don't forget, it's even scriptural. So what my child will say here is that I think parents should understand that if you don't discipline your child, that child will disgrace you tomorrow.
And the society will help you discipline.
And society, it's a shame when society now help you to play your role that you're supposed to play. Because anytime you give birth to a child, you are only a caretaker. Because the child will leave you.
Okay.
So it is that values, that moral values that you drive into the child that will make the child become useful to himself, useful to society, and useful to Nigeria and the world at large. Okay. So I think parents have a role, and they should not allow the drifting of values to go to Pluto, while we are still in the Earth continent.
Okay.
God will give us grace.
Amen. Now you made mention of the need to discipline your child just so somebody else doesn't help you do the job. Of course, we know that it usually doesn't end well when somebody else is doing what you are supposed to be doing as a parent. But let's not also forget that there could be extremes in this. For example, there's a recent story of a child that was flogged to death. Not just flogged. I think it was even more than flogging, because the story has it that the child died, and of course the teacher was dragged to court and prosecuted.
Yes.
Now, let's also establish these extremes. What do you think are the limits that a teacher should respect in taking care of or in trying to discipline another person's child?
Is that a question to me?
Yes, to you, yes.
Okay, I think there should be a limit.
Okay.
Because if it becomes too extreme, then it becomes
because there's a difference between raising a child in love or disciplining the child in love and disciplining the child out of hatred.
Yeah, there are so many angles, there's so many perspectives to discipline a child.
Okay.
You must not beat the child and inflict injuries, bodily injuries on that child. No, that's extreme. That's madness. Okay. Like what I do tell some school now, as I say, before you employ a teacher, the teacher must go through psychometric analysis. You must test the mental behavior of that teacher before because you're handling people's children. So I think there should be restrictions. It shouldn't be extreme.
Okay.
You don't need to see blood. You don't need to beat a child and see blood before you know that you have disciplined the child. No. It's extreme. It's crazy.
Now, Chris, there's also the factor of do what I say, don't do what I do. There are parents who indulge in the use of substance, for instance, or the abuse of substance. Some of them smoke cigarettes, others take weed, others take some other things. How would you describe that? Is that not a hypocritical method of instilling discipline? Some of them will tell their children that they never want to see them, take certain substances, but they take them.
I think that is one of the major causes of substance use among the youth.
The youth, okay.
Like copying their parents, because children may not actually do it at your presence if they know you do it, but once you are not there, they will do it. So part of discipline should be parental discipline itself. Because we are trying to curb drug use among our youth, among our children. It should start from home. Like he actually said, that the first agent of socialization is the parent. So if the parent is lacking in that area, of discipline, he uses drugs, whether in the presence or even absence of children. You might even do it outside. Once you come with the effect showcase itself, the children notice it and they know my dad is using drugs, but I can see the effect. And before you know it, they want to experiment. You understand?
Okay.
So if you discover that in areas, in communities where most people actually use alcohol, let's use alcohol for example, you find that children from such area, they also abuse alcohol because they find their parents and every elder. So parental role has a key, a very strong key to play in regards of substance use among our young ones coming up.
All right. Like you already said, it's more than just telling your child not to do it.
Exactly.
Right. You as a parent should lead by example.
Exactly.
Because children learn much more by observation than by instruction. Especially children of nowadays. Whether you like it or not, they are watching you, and what you're doing is what they want to do. And you know that they have this very curious mind. And they pick much of the things that they see, much more than what you tell them to do.
Tell them, yeah.
All right, it's still Flipside on independent television, and today we're taking a look at the growing rate of substance abuse among the youths. It's a major problem that we have before us, gentlemen. Whether we like it or not, if we don't do something now, we're probably going to have a situation where you have zombies walking the streets.
A population of zombies.
So, and we're fervently praying and, also trying to do the best that we can to ensure that we don't get to that point. Now, it's also important to be able to identify, young people who are under the influence of hard substances. Of course, we are trying to look at this, like I said, from a very broad perspective. The fact that, it's even beyond substance abuse. Addiction is a very broad thing, right? Now, let's look at ways to identify young people who are under the influence of these hard substances. Chris?
From the parental point of view, I think it's important that parents actually have a knowledge of substance abuse, the symptoms that they need to watch out for.
Okay.
Not just parents alone, caregivers of our teeming youths. One of the symptoms you will notice, one of the signs you will observe is a change in the individual's mood. The young man or the young woman who is using drugs, you just got that her moods fluctuates kind of.
Okay.
And unnecessary.
Kind of like a mood swing or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Then again, you notice that some of them no longer care about their personal hygiene. They will just put on the same shirt for like 2-3 days, which was unlike that before the substance use. Then if you look at their sleep pattern, it might also be fluctuating. Either they are sleeping excessively or they are not sleeping enough. So so many things will just change in their behavior. Then you see unnecessarily, burst of angers without reason, because so many things about their sensations, the way they feel, the way they think physiologically and mentally is changing as a result of the substance use.
Okay.
So you will notice a drastic behavioral change.
Okay.
But some adults and parents take all these things for granted. They just assume that it's a phase in their growing stage.
Okay.
But literally or generally, when you observe some of these signs, just suspect that the child or the young man probably be using substance.
Now, is there any positive angle to this? Is there anything positive about the use of substance as an expert?
Yeah. I think for some, it makes them just get to a relaxed mood when it's not abuse.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Or is that normal?
That's what they will tell you.
Okay.
They'll tell you, I feel stressed, but once I take this substance, I feel a bit relaxed. So
And some will even tell you that it takes them, to dimensions and realms that are way beyond their imagination.
That is no longer normal. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, you will not want to accept that you're thinking normal about substance use.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
All right.
Abuse is the problem. And when it extends beyond abuse, it gets to a clinical stage now referred to as addiction or substance dependence. That is even more, damaging.
Okay.
So generally, if you want to prevent a society that is devoid of substance problem, I think you just keep creating the awareness that substance use is dangerous beyond or at any level, especially at a young stage of individual development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris. You said a whole lot. And you just made mention of creating awareness. I think that's a very key part of this conversation. Oshoria, you are a clergy, and you happen to be in the religious circle. What roles do you think clergies like you, should be playing in creating this awareness? Because I feel like there seems to be, you were talking about the breakdown of values a while ago, and the fact that young people no longer take these things seriously. They no longer take our values seriously. Some of them don't even respect their elders anymore. And whether we like it or not, the clergy has a huge role to play in this, because nowadays it seems like values are no longer taught on the pulpit. Those days when a pastor, for instance, or an imam, would stand, in front of the congregation and tell them this thing is wrong. If you do this, you will probably go to hell or something, at least as a form of deterrence, right? But nowadays, it seems like our clergies are telling the congregation what they want to hear. So what role do you think these clergies can play?
All right. A pastor that is called by God is an agent of change. I did my time to do some research concerning Martin Luther King Jr., lots of them. And I saw a lot of good things that they did for the youth, making them better.
Okay.
It's not all about coming to the pulpit to come and preach, to come and shout, to come and say, die by fire, bring down fire and brimstone on your enemies. Because one thing you should understand is that your multitude, your congregation is a mix. It's a mixed blend of youth, the elderly ones, the middle-aged, and the children.
Okay.
So whatsoever, because you are seen as someone that is at the top. So whatsoever thing you say, people tend to listen to you and believe you.
Okay.
So whatsoever thing you are dishing out from the pulpit must cut across strata, different age brackets. That's very key. So it's not all about talking about payment of tithing, offering, payment of this.
Sadly, that seems to be the most.
That's the trend. That's what the trend was trending. That's why you notice that today you find churches where the youth live because they are not well fed. Not by this, not more from the scripture. Because if you want the cows to stay, you have to feed them with green grass. And this green grass I'm talking about, value system is part of it.
Okay.
So training up a child in the way that he should go is not only to parents.
Okay.
It cuts across. Pastors are parents because we look after people. Whether you like it or not. Tomorrow I'll be in church. I have counseling sessions tomorrow. People will come and see me.
So the responsibility you're a parent as well.
I'm a parent as well. So when you call a pastor a daddy, it does not only mean that you are giving the member money or food. So I think pastors, bishops, imams, even those in the African traditional setting, should also introduce this in their module.
Okay.
They should introduce this whole talk about substance abuse in their module. So while they are preaching, they can also chip it in, or it can be at the end of the message, so that people can have this whole consciousness. Because if you read the Bible very well, Jesus Christ was telling John, he said, "Beloved, I wish that mayest prosper in good health."
In good health, even as the soul prospers.
Are you seeing it now? So there is much emphasis on our health, and health doesn't necessarily mean your body. We have mental health.
Yeah. But more emphasis seems to be laid on the physical health.
Yeah. That is where we are missing it. That is why I would tell my members, if you want to do fasting, if you know that you are sick, please abstain. If you know you are strong enough, for the elderly ones, do it up to 12. Because I don't know your system. So I think emphasis should be placed more on, not only on spiritual, we are too focused on spiritual things.
Okay.
Let's also focus more on mental and on physical, so that they can be an equilibrium, a balancing.
Okay.
Because if you look, these are our children that are into this substance abuse. They are from the church. Oh.
Yeah.
They are in your choir.
From the mosques.
They are from the mosque. Do you understand? They are with us. It's not like they are aliens or they are from one continent. No, they are with us. They are part of church.
Okay.
They are part of mosque. They are part of family. So we should create a system that will also educate them on the dangers of substance abuse. It will go a long way.
Now, you just made mention of education, and that's something I feel we really don't emphasize enough. A lot of parents are not educated, sadly.
It's a big problem.
What I mean by that is, of course, they do have degrees. Some of them, went to the university to obtain, some sort of qualification. But in the real sense of the word, some of them are not, enlightened enough. And you know what the adage says, you can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
Some of these kids are even way smarter than their parents. So what do you think the parents themselves can do to upgrade their own, knowledge? Because imagine you saying something and your child is correcting you. You understand? I'm not saying, but hey, as a parent, there should be something you can do to be on a higher pedestal. So what are those things you think parents of this generation can do?
Before I got married, I read, my wife can bear me witness, I read over 10 books on parenting. Yeah. So I am battle ready for whatever that will come.
Why would you say battle?
See, I know what I'm saying, because I asked somebody a question. I said, why do you want to marry? He said, the reason I want to marry is because I don't want to be lonely. Do you know the objective of getting married, Mr. Harry, is to raise godly generation of children that will make impact in their generation. That is the objective of getting married. How many parents knows that? Zero. They are not much. So I think it's not late to go and start understanding your role as a parent. It's never too late. Then prospective parents, the ones that are not yet married, I think they should go and start reading books on parenting. Because in this generation that we are now, the Gen Z generation, being a parent, you must be top of your game. You must bring your A game to the table. Your child must not be smarter than you, or else he will sell you and your house. If you're not even careful, your child can even use your house document for a collateral to take loan from the bank.
Because he's smarter.
He
knows much more than you.
Up to 100 phones. There are some parents that cannot even operate 100 phones. And we are in the 21st century, Gen Z era. So I think parents should up their game. Parents should be smart. Parents should read books. Parents should take up courses on parenting. Parents should attend seminars, symposiums. They meet those people, those older parents that have made it, vis-a-vis raising their children in the godly way. Let me tell you something. I grew up in Benin. There are some parents, up to date, even if their children are older than them, their children dare not look at them in the eyes while talking. Why? Because of training. True. So I think this new category of parents should go and meet those old ones. The problem is that this new generation of parents don't want to learn. They feel they see them dye their hair. Go to PTA meeting, you see lots of parents. My brother, you see them wearing short skirt. You see the man coming to PTA meeting drunk.
You need to wonder how they even became.
Drink up alcohol. So imagine such a parent. So it's not too late to learn from the older ones that have results. You understand? So it's not too late to learn from them. Learn from our old fathers and our old mothers in the village, how they were able to raise 9 children. And none of them got pregnant. None of them is involved in secret court activity. None of them is a thief. None of them is a fraud, a yahoo. So let them go and learn from those other ones so that society can be better. God will give us grace.
Amen. Now, you said something about creating awareness and, of course, organizing seminars. And also you made mention of the fact that it's imperative for parents to read books on parenting. Now, beyond that, I'm sure that it's also very important that parents learn to read wide. Reading is beyond just picking a certain area of interest, right? The fact that you're a parent doesn't mean you should only read books that have to do with parenting. Read wide, because these children are in the growing phase. You understand? And in the process, they are learning new things.
Every day.
You cannot afford to lag behind. So it's also very important that you gather as much knowledge as possible. Now, Chris, you are a medical expert, at least in a certain area of the medical profession. And while I was in school, back then when we were in secondary school, we used to attend seminars, health seminars that have to do with maybe mental health or certain aspects of health. It seems like such seminars are no longer as popular as before. What exactly is the problem? What do you think has gone wrong? Because this is actually how awareness is created. In those days in schools, we have seminars like this where children or students and pupils are mandated to attend by the school authority. But how many of such seminars are still organized in our schools?
I want to believe that such seminars are still going on, but you said something like in those days.
Yes.
The population was not as we have it now.
Okay.
Because I know such seminars are still going on, but it's possible they cannot meet with the demand of the present population.
Okay.
That's the truth. And that brings us back to education and drug education, so to say. A lot of parents are not, adept in that area. They don't have knowledge of drug use.
It takes us back to the issue of reading.
Yes. So, and for him, who is a clergy and a vast resource knowledge, I think he stands in a position to actually, get more knowledge from professionals, professionals in mental health. Because we've had cases or we've seen cases where some people come to the hospital and they will tell you that, oh, I've been in churches for weeks, for months, even for years, receiving treatment for mental health challenges. And because most of these clergy tend to regard or see mental health challenges as spiritual problems.
Okay.
Yes, especially those who don't have this knowledge. So I think it's time we kind of advocate for clergies to actually come to professionals to receive mental health knowledge so that they can actually understand the symptoms when they see it and interpret it as mental health challenges and not spiritual problems.
Okay.
And kind of refer such people who usually will run to their pastors for attention to the hospitals for treatment.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Asharia, if you take a look at Nigeria, for instance, you'll notice that we seem not to have enough, not mental homes per se, but rehabilitation centers for young people who are already victims of substance abuse, as compared to the Western world, where where they have lots of rehabilitation centers.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's also this tendency for victims of substance abuse to be detected early enough. But in this part of the world, until someone goes all out to the point of picking up stuff from the floor, they are not considered abnormal mentally. What do you think the government can do in that regard to ensure that more rehabilitation homes are established? And of course, it's easier to identify people or young people who are already victims of substance abuse.
Let me tell you something. There is already a systemic failure in that regard. You know why? Because we are living in a country where everything, 100% is termed spiritual.
Okay, just like Chris said, you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that idea. You may not believe me, but life in its entirety is not spiritual.
Okay.
There are perspectives to things. Now, if in our society, if somebody runs mad or somebody has mental dysfunction, they tend to see it as an evil arrow.
Okay.
An evil arrow.
Okay.
So, in such cases, the best place to refer such a person to is church, where the person will be chained. And probably they will give the person olive oil to be drinking every day.
And deliverance is
I'm not saying that these things does not have spiritual relationship. There is, because I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I think our government should create systems. Since there's already a systemic failure, our government should create systems whereby these people can be taken care of.
Okay.
Whereby these people can be given the right medical attention. Whereby these people can be well cared for. And let the sensitization of drug abuse, let it increase. Let it cut across our communities. Let it cut across our motor park. If you go to our motor park, the substance they abuse there, you see them putting something inside cellophane and tying in one brown liquid and they are drinking it. That is substance abuse. So the government should also increase the awareness. Let people know the implication. Do they know how much for one kidney dialysis procedure in the hospital? So these things damage their kidney and all of our systems.
All right, Chris,
it's really a big problem.
I'll take that to be your final word for the sake of time. We are really pressed for time right now. Chris, what's your advice for young people in let's say 30 seconds at most? What's your advice for young people who are already given to substance abuse?
I think the advice is just that zero out, stop it, and seek treatment.
Okay.
Seek treatment from professionals. And we also want to advise the policy makers to kind of create a cost-effective approach that will result in a prevention, treatment, and all the cost involved in recovery process should be considered in that approach.
All right, I want to say a very big thank you, gentlemen, for being with me on the show today. It's been a very, very interesting conversation. Chris Aigbejian, clinical psychologist. Thanks so much for being with us. And of course, Omidio Sharia, who happens to be a clergy. He's a very close friend and someone who's always very ready to honor us every time we call on him. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, it's been Flipside on Independent Television. A big thank you to every one of you for riding with us from start to finish. It's been a very, very interesting conversation. Please, if you are involved in substance abuse, this message is for you. This program is for you. This episode of the program is for you. Please ensure you abstain from it because danger lies ahead. My name is Harry Aigboje, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do ensure you do the right thing and stay out of trouble. Good afternoon.